Good morning, and thanks for joining this session. Let me start doing a kind of reality check, and let me see if I understand your word. And this will be helpful in introducing the subject for the session today. So let's say we have, it's 3 a.m. in the morning, and you have your manager yelling at you because there has been set a conference somewhere in another part of the planet, and some top managers cannot attend. Only just a few minutes before, they realize that someone cannot attend the conference. And that could be because they are not sitting in one of your beautiful TP, powered by Cisco TP rooms. They may be on the road. They may be in a partner site, for example. They could be equipped with a different infrastructure or even with no infrastructure at all. And so, and of course, you are required to bring all them together in one single meeting. Is this looking familiar to you? I think so. I guess it happens quite some time. This experience, to have been part of this experience, so I've been heard about experience like this. So in this session, we're going to see how collaboration meeting room can really help addressing these challenges and these needs. And the main point here that I would like you to remember is that CMR is really providing a one convergent conferencing solution. And hopefully to make your life easier and to get the boss off your back. Okay, so let's see if we can do that in this session. Here is the agenda. So we are starting introducing collaboration meeting room. Then the next portion is divided in 2 parts. We are covering both hybrid and cloud, the 2 flavors of CMR. With cloud specifically, we'll be also touching a little bit on the commercial model and also the link interop story. We're covering that as well. And then in closing, we are going to discuss about how the 2 solutions are different, so what is best in my specific scenario and for my specific needs, and also how they can coexist. Okay, so we'll discuss some scenarios to see what makes sense, what is most recommended, or what is less recommended. And of course, here there's not a good or bad answer. It depends on the user needs, and in the end, based on the user experience you want to provide to your users. Okay, so I would like to keep this session very interactive. So we'll definitely take questions, but just to make the presentation flow better, let's do some Q&A at the end of the 2 parts. So after the hybrid and then after the cloud, we'll take some, we will do some Q&A and proceed like that. So I'm Davide Grandis. I'm the part of the collaboration cloud team for Cisco and technical leader for collaboration meeting room in Europe. So let's start from the point where all begins. Okay, and this is really the starting point of everything we are discussing here. And the reason why I'm showing you this, you may have seen this already a few times during the week, is because what we'll discuss for CMR is very well connected with these 3 main pillars. Main pillar, the pillar number 1, that you see on the left, is experience-centric. It's all about the user, right? So we know that we are putting the user in the center because we realize that the user is today the most disruptive force in IT. This is a reality. This is because users today are bringing their own devices at work. They are also bringing their own application. And so in order to really drive adoption, and specifically in collaboration space, application needs to be cool, needs to be sexy and simple to use. It's all about simplicity. Otherwise, user will not use it. And also, they have to be designed for mobility from the ground up. So not something that has been adapted to run on an iOS device, but has to be designed specifically for a mobile device. Close to that, we have in the middle, cloud connectivity. For sure, in the market, there is a strong indication that market is going there. Okay, it's a clear indication in the market to consume more and more services in any way or form. But the thing is that what really matters is not cloud but really providing cloud services that are well integrated with the on-prem infrastructure. Because the on-prem infrastructure, network, device still matter and make a lot of sense in the on-prem environment. And they have to be so highly integrated with the cloud to, in the end, make the experience transparent for the users, but also for the administrators. So this is the goal. And the on-prem infrastructure, again, network and devices, will remain a big portion of the entire solution. And then we move into the third one, that is also connected. It's about extending the value. Here the concept is two main concepts, actually. First is where we are integrating, we are not changing the infrastructure, we are evolving. Okay, that means protecting investment done. And realize this deeper and deeper integration between functions that make more sense to keep on-prem, in the network, in the infrastructure, in the devices, and what can be done better in the cloud by simplifying the services. And again, you will see this is very well connected with the message we are discussing today. But before starting with CMR, let me spend a couple of words on the challenges first. I was briefly touching this in my opening before, but basically the reality is we need to realize that, and we all face these issues. Whenever we understand that to get things done, we need to meet, then we always go through a process that is not simple at all. We need to think, I need to run a meeting, okay, so now I need to set up. In some realities, this is really a task. Not doing job, but preparing for doing something. That means getting ready for running a meeting. And that means many different things, as you can see here in brief. So typical questions are, how many people do I need to connect? Where are these people located? Are they in the company, in a TP room, using video system on their desk? Are they on the road? Are they working from home? I have internal attendees only, or also have external? And then the other questions are about the best solution that I can use to address these needs. Could it be an audio conference? Could it be a web conference? Could it be WebEX alone? Or is it better to use my video equipment? So these are all questions and that are making this very complex. And so what we are doing here with CMR is really to make it easier and simple. Okay, we need to converge to a single meeting experience. And this is what CMR is here to deliver. CMR, as you can see here, is defined a kind of umbrella term. It's defining a solution that we can deploy in different ways. You may have seen this slide already in our presentations. And you may have seen three components here. We also have, in addition to hybrid and cloud, we also have the on-prem stuff. This is a bit off topic here, so it's been removed from this presentation, but we have the three flavors. Different is the way you deploy the solution itself. And vision being provide unified and convergent user experience across all the devices. So as you see, you start to see from the slide, we are bringing all the experiences together, from the pocket, from our smartphone, to all the way to our new iX5000, or even other immersive rooms. Okay, and this can be delivered in different ways. So it's about flexibility. First way is hybrid. Hybrid is basically putting together TP. So part is running on-prem and connecting with WebEX in the cloud. The second flavor, let me say, is CMR entirely coming from the cloud. Okay, and this solution is available in Europe since mid-November last year. Okay, so let's dive now into CMR Hybrid first. I don't know if many of you have been in the session here at Cisco Live last year. We were covering CMR Hybrid. Just to align all of you on terminology, at that time we were calling this solution WebEX-enabled TP, WebEX-enabled telepresence. Now we have been rebranding this as CMR Hybrid, okay, to provide this unified vision. So CMR, in essence, is basically what I was anticipating already, it's basically a full collaboration experience, meaning bidirectional audio, video, and content sharing, as you can see here. Main points are, number one, extending your Cisco telepresence. This is based on a Cisco TP infrastructure. You can extend that beyond video and adding WebEx to that. And you can see that it immediately becomes very easily used for addressing the B2B and B2C use cases. The other point to remember is that CMR Hybrid is a scheduled solution. In order to realize that, we do provide a simplified and, most important, integrated way of scheduling. So you can schedule a CMR Hybrid session in many different ways. We'll touch them. But the point here is that by doing that, you will be taking care of both TP side of the house and the WebEx side of the house. So one single integrated scheduling process. Of course, leveraging WebEx that we are adding to TP, we're also expanding to cover mobility, and specifically iOS devices as well as Android devices now can talk together with video endpoints in the same meeting. Okay? Now, the solution is available since more than a year now. We have almost 300 customers deployed worldwide at the moment. Many of them are very happy with CMR Hybrid. One of them is Kame Group, and I'm really, it's a real pleasure for me to have here Massimiliano Tesser, CIO of Kame Group, together with Cristiano Bedin, IT manager from Kame Group. They've been so kind to share with us the experience. They've been going through the deployment process, and they have been measuring and sharing with us the outcomes. So they will be here, also available to share with you their experience deploying this, driving user adoption, leading to business outcomes. Thank you again. So now going a bit more in detail on the solution itself, I was touching the point that on how we use this solution, we have to schedule it. CMR Hybrid is a scheduled solution, and we have 4 different ways that are listed here that allow me to schedule a CMR Hybrid session. We also have a 5th, it's not mentioned here, is through APIs. But the tools we do provide for scheduling are these 4. And we have to make a distinction here between what is synchronous and what is asynchronous, you see here. So basically, with the synchronous, we mean something that is capable of creating an invitation and sending them to the people I want to invite in one single click, okay, or in one single process. With asynchronous, what happens is that I have 2 steps in my process. First, I create a session, of course, combining TP information and WebEx information, but then I will have to forward this information to the people I want to invite. This is what we mean with asynchronous. And the most important tools we provide here are the first 2. I can say that they are used by 90% of the customers. First being the Outlook integration. So this is a productivity tools. I'm sure you're all familiar with the WebEx productivity tools that come in to enrich the Outlook client on Windows. With CMR Hybrid enabled, the productivity tools is also capable of scheduling the CMR Hybrid meeting. And I will show you a slide after this. Second application is through the TMS. TMS is a critical component here. We will cover that in more detail. Basically, what we can use in order to schedule is a tool that is available through the TMS-P, the provisioning engine, that is an optional component of TMS, and this allows to have the Smart Scheduler tool. So this, again, the Smart Scheduler from TMS, together with the Outlook productivity tool, are the most commonly used tool to schedule. In addition to that, we have the scheduling mailbox. The scheduling mailbox is also called as Magic Mailbox, and it's mainly used in cases where we have an Exchange, calendaring server, but we are not using, we are using a different client, not a Windows client. Okay, so with that, you simply create a meeting invitation, adding the rooms you want to add, and then you add the specific email address that is configured, and that will trigger the WebEx scheduling process. Okay. Last but not least, the possibility to schedule through the TMS directly, through the booking interface. And this is very important, especially in cases where customers are used to have a concierge service. So experience here is not driven by the end user scheduling his own meeting, but through a service that is typically doing this on behalf of. And we will see more details on this later. So let's see the first one a bit more in detail. Here is like the productivity tools works, or better, how it shows up in the meeting invitation in Outlook. This is Windows today, and will be Mac as well in a few months. And basically, what you will get new with CMR Hybrid is the component you see, this panel you see on the right. And this will give you the possibility to independently enable WebEx and TP. When it comes to WebEx, you simply check that, and you will be required to type a meeting password. When it comes to TP, you can select the rooms. You can do that also from the form itself, from the meeting invitation. Of course, room has to be created as an SMTP account. You can also use this button we have been adding here, the green button, to quickly look for rooms, okay, to make it easier to book rooms from TP. And then you simply send, and this is asynchronous, as I was explaining. So all the people you invite will receive all the meeting information. So the plugin will then follow the scheduling process by contacting a TMS first, checking availability, getting the meeting details back from the TMS. Then we'll do the same with Exchange. We'll do the same with WebEx, getting the meeting details and combine all of this in a single confirmation email. That looks very cool. By the way, it's been completely redesigned, and will provide the entire information for users to either join from TP or from WebEx. One very interesting feedback we had from customers is that this tool is also helping a lot, just scheduling TP, because this is closing a gap we had in having a very nice and sleek tool to schedule TP with Outlook. And in this way, you see, if you deselect WebEx, that will be a TP meeting only. So a very easy way also to just schedule a TP meeting from Outlook. Next, the TMS is my scheduler. Scheduling experience. Yes, there is a question. Okay, so the question is about how the endpoints are managed if they are managed to the CTMS. The answer is no, but we'll see that when we cover the architecture behind this. Okay, thank you. So Smart Scheduler, this is delivered by the TMS provisioning engine component of TMS, and basically enables the same capability we've been discussing with Outlook Productivity Tool. Main difference is this is not a calendaring application, so you cannot see the availability of the room. And of course, you cannot directly add the people you want to invite. That's why this is an asynchronous technique to schedule CMR hybrid meetings. But the look and feel and also the flow is very similar to productivity tools in Outlook. In fact, as you can see here, when you connect to the Smart Scheduler, you have the opportunity to see first the list of your meetings. You can create a new one. And then you have the same options, basically. You can add the TP. Both TP and WebEx, of course, are optional. You can select one and the other independently. If you select WebEx, you need to type the meeting password. With TP, same thing you can do in Outlook. You can, of course, select rooms, but you also can add ports to account for people joining from Jabber, for example, or people joining from a personal endpoint. Okay, so in that case, you reserve ports. This application has been specifically designed for mobility, and is specifically tested on iOS Android devices. So if you want to give your user an easy way to schedule a meeting where on the road, not in front of the PC, Smart Scheduler is the solution. And an important point here is that you don't need to select one and stick with that in terms of scheduling tool, because you can use more than one. So you can give your user the possibility to schedule from Windows when they are in the office on their PC, maybe to schedule also from the iOS devices or Android while they are on the road. Okay? Next is Lotus Notes support. This is a very recent information. Lotus doesn't have a very huge market share, but is still very relevant in some sectors, in some verticals, especially in the finance vertical. And so the recommendation here from us is to connect with ESNA. ESNA is a partner developer that has been working with us to integrate our solution into many platforms, and specifically in this case, they are delivering the CloudLink solution that allows to schedule CMR hybrid, or will allow soon to schedule CMR hybrid meeting into Lotus Notes. What they have today is the support for the on-prem stuff, so starting from TMS 14 and Lotus Notes 9.0, as you can see here, they can schedule with CloudLink TP. The plan is to add by April also the component that is interacting with WebEX, so adding support for CMR hybrid. And if you're interested here, I would really suggest to connect with ESNA. They are here at the DevNet zone in the North Wing, and they're available for you. You may be also interested in knowing that the licensing is available through Cisco GPL. So you can still refer to the same vendor for the entire solution, including CloudLink support for Lotus Notes. Okay, and one last point on scheduling. This is something that is being asked quite frequently, I have to say, because people more used to schedule TP could see a different approach from WebEX. And the point here is that CMR hybrid is following the WebEX rules, meaning that it's always a personal scheduling. So we need always to have a host that is the owner of a WebEX license that is scheduling a meeting for himself or herself. Okay, so this is the first point. In order to be able to schedule, this means that the user needs to own a license on the WebEX site, or better, a host on the WebEX site. Licensing could be different, many different licensing models, but in essence, the requirement is to have a host account on the WebEX site we are scheduling with. We have two exceptions to this rule that allow to extend this model. The first exception is to allow to delegate someone else to schedule on my behalf, and this is what we use for the use case of the manager and the assistant. So in this case, what happens is that I want to delegate someone else to schedule on my behalf, and I can do that via the productivity tools with Outlook on Windows. What I simply need is to configure the delegation on the WebEX site, that, by the way, is much simpler now, and also to share the calendar. The manager needs to share the calendar with the assistant. By doing that, the assistant is able to see the calendar visibility and will schedule on behalf of the manager. So this model is supported. The other model that allows to extend the scheduling capabilities is the second one that you can see here, that is addressing the model of the concierge scheduling. There are still many, many customers that are used to this model, and this can be done directly from the TMS admin. Remember, I was mentioning this already before. TMS admin, through the booking interface, allow a TMS user to select the user that will be the owner of the session. Main difference here is that the agent from the concierge doesn't need to own a license. They will be never using a WebEx meeting on their own, right? So they are not consuming any license. They will be just an agent being able to schedule on behalf of someone that is requesting the service. Okay? Now, another very important aspect related to CMR, that, by the way, applies to both hybrid and cloud, is audio. Another very frequently asked question. We have different ways we can provide audio for CMR hybrid. First is WebEX, the simpler is WebEX hybrid audio. And this is, of course, audio solution provided by the WebEX bridges. Okay, and you have different capabilities there. Could be call in, call back, with different access numbers. But basically the point here is that you have to remember CMR hybrid requires a hybrid plan. Okay, so PSTN access needs to be enabled. This is a requirement if you go with WebEX audio. Second option is to go with TSP partners. This is what is most commonly used by WebEX customers. And this is done by integrating the signaling between WebEX, the meeting component, with the bridge coming from partners like Intercall, Arcading, and others. This modality of audio is completely supported. You just need to be aware or to check if the TSP partner has been qualified for CMR hybrid. All of them already are. 9 out of 10 already are qualified. But keep in mind that TSP audio is also a supported option here. And last, we have been also recently introducing support for CCA, or cloud-connected audio. And this is a solution that actually is more used in the US for very, very large customers that are basically connecting via SIP trunks directly to the WebEX cloud for audio. This is supported as well. Okay, so keep in mind this model. And what is missing here is the VoIP-only option. So the WebEX with VoIP-only is not supported. You either need to go with one of these three options for audio. Okay, now let's dive a little bit on the architecture, and we'll see the different components that enable the function we've been discussing so far. So, first of all, we have three models supported for what concerns the architecture. First, the very first we introduce is the VCS-centric. After that, we've been introducing the CUCM-centric model in the October last year. And the third one is very, very recent. It's been introduced basically 1 week ago. And this is, as we'll see in detail, is filling a gap with respect to the architecture from unified call control. So let's see the details. Important point to remember here, all these three architectures are supported, are full supported. We are not pushing anybody to migrate from VCS. Of course, I'm sure you all know, the direction from Cisco is to migrate from VCS-centric, the old days, coming from the Tandberg heritage, to the CUCM-centric. Okay, that is the reference architecture for Cisco UC. And by the way, you can find more details in this session, and you can suggest you to check out the recording. And this is covering specifically migration techniques from VCS to unified call manager, communication manager. But again, for what concerns hybrid, we are not pushing any customer to migrate. If you are still using a VCS for call control, that's perfectly supported. Okay? Now, this is the first model, VCS-centric. Quite easy. Let me take the opportunity also to explain a little bit how the components are working together. So, VCS control for device registration. This can also be done via the CUCM, an optional component. The two boxes will be then trunked together. Of course, VCS will manage 3-to-3, third party, directly registered to the VCS control. And the other key component here is the bridge, telepresence server or MCU, that has to be registered to the VCS control. Second critical component here is the TMS. As we were explaining, TMS is taking care of scheduling, integrated scheduling. So it's a component that is mandatory for the architecture to work. Always need to be there. Even if you're scheduling directly on TMS itself via Smart Scheduler or admin or via productivity tools, it's all about the TMS scheduling. And how it works, and you see, to address your question, CTMS is not here. So this is the solution based on TMS for endpoint management and scheduling specifically for hybrid. So no CTMS anymore. For what concerns how the solution works, what happens is that we have two phases, scheduling first through the TMS. TMS will connect to the on-prem infrastructure and get information from the resources about the availability of the resources. Then we connect to WebEx and we collect the other information. We'll combine this in one single communication, the confirmation email. And then the second step, when the meeting starts, what happens is that the MCU, the bridge, will basically create a connection into the cloud, and that connection will be routed through the call control, VCS control, expressway, and then we'll connect into the cloud. So from a security point of view, it's an outbound connection. That is highly secure, will be authenticated and encrypted by default due to the requirement to mandatory requirement to install a certificate on the VCS expressway, as covered in detail in the configuration guide. So this is still the unique approach for securing the call, and is mandatory for CMR hybrid. Okay, so let's see now the second model. It's the UCM-centric. The main difference here is that with this model, being introduced with UCM 10.5, you can now register the bridge directly to the UCM. So main benefit here, you don't need to buy the VCS if you don't have it, right? The same reasoning applies for the other components, TMS. The expressway is now in this reference architecture is the application of the UCM that allows for external connection, or B2B in general. And then we come to the next evolution that, as I was saying, has been introduced recently, last week, that I didn't want to add too many acronyms and release numbers, but if you want to reference that, this is going under the UC system release 10.6. Okay, and the main benefit here is that we have been introducing support for the conductor, a new element you see now in the architecture, that allows to have a single pool of bridging resources under the conductor itself. Okay, now all the benefits here are off topic here. We had a very interesting session yesterday on CMR on premises that was covering this in detail, but the main benefit for us here in the for what concerns CMR hybrid is, again, the single pool of resources shared under the conductor. This is now supporting also the CMR hybrid application. And second benefit is the extension to all the models for the VTS, for the telepresence server that we're missing. Because, you know, some models like the VTS, the virtual telepresence server, and the 300 series do need to be managed by the conductor. So now we are able to support them as well. Indeed, in this table that I mainly leave you for your reference, you will find in the column here what goes beyond the system release 10.6. And just a note here, just to avoid any confusion, that's not a typo. It's 10.5 CUCM. So a system release is typically evolving around the CUCM release, but not in this case. So sorry for that, but this is 10.6 based on CUCM 10.5 and all the other system releases you can see here. So most notably, you can see we have been adding the conductor, supported from 3.0, and the specific release for the MCU, telepresence server, and all the other components. Another critical component here is TMS 14.6. When it comes to WebEx, so here we have all the components that enable CMR hybrid. When it comes to WebEx, this is supported, the new feature set is supported by 29.11. That is available since a couple of weeks. Okay, so remember here, you only need to remember this column here. This is the feature set. This is what is enabling the current feature set that I'm going to describe now in more detail. Okay? So, first of all, new feature now. something that we've been adding with this system release. I was talking about the vision, unified vision for CMR, okay, and then different deployment types. So, you know, CMR today is scheduled only, but the vision is to extend also to other modalities, other use cases. And one is, of course, instant meeting. So we have been introducing this. That is basically responding to customer demand and by creating a very quick way to add WebEx to an instant meeting. Okay, so this is something we've been starting experimenting. So I'm not saying you should implement this. I would suggest to test before if it meets your requirement in terms of user experience. But I'm showing here because it's the first approach to extend the use case. So it's not scheduling only anymore, but we are touching instant, and we are going to be attached the personal use case as well, that I will describe later. And specifically here, the use case is based on the latest system release. You have deployed your personal room on-prem, and you are perfectly running that. You are running a meeting in your personal room on premises. Then you realize you need to involve someone else from WebEx, someone external. What you can do, you can create an ad hoc meeting with WebEx, and this is what you can do in the step 1 here. And this is enabled by the CMR portal in the TMS. You will see more details in the appendix for your reference, but basically what you can do, you will get this button here. This will allow you to create a meeting, and you will have the opportunity to share this information with the people you want to invite, and they will be connected into the same meeting. Okay? New feature. Second, and this is more an announcement, coming with the latest release, is the announcement concerning the video quality for content sharing. The 2 points, basically. Now the resolution and the frame rate is negotiated based on the capability of the endpoints, the MCU, and WebEx. And the resolution has been increased up to 1080p, so it's 720p for cloud, because this feature applies to both hybrid and cloud. So we can go up to 720p for cloud and 1080p for hybrid. Okay, maximum resolution. Content is automatically adapted to the aspect ratio, 4/3 or 69th, and 1080p requires the conductor. So last feature set that I'm showing you is always referring to the 10.6 as a system release. So remember the column in the right. Those system releases are enabling these capabilities, including content sharing up to 1080p. And lastly, another announcement that's been very important, specifically for some customers. We've been working on improving the way the video is connected into WebEx. 2 main things here. First of all, we've been increasing the frame rate from 6 to 15 frames per second as a starting, because we saw that typically in the office the bandwidth is good. We can provide a better experience, better video experience. And the second thing is we've been working in improving the WebEx client in order to manage better the video from the MCU, from the telepresence. And the issue we had here before is that in case you had a bottleneck bandwidth issue on your PC, you were not receiving the video from the TP anymore. And this was shown as a wheel, like this. Sorry. Oops. As a spinning wheel. And this was not very clear, so someone was thinking it's a WebEx issue. My WebEx client is not working, there's an issue in the cloud. But that's not true. So we've been improving this in 2 ways. First, we now display a much more clear message saying there is a problem with bandwidth, or could be a local problem on the PC, CPU, or processes. And most importantly, the client now is able to auto-recover. So we'll auto-test the bandwidth, and we'll try to reestablish, to subscribe again to the video from the MCU. Okay, so definitely a better user experience in not so good bandwidth conditions. Okay, so this is completing the new features that has been introduced with CMR Hybrid with the latest software release. Any question on CMR Hybrid? Okay, so Let's move then to the second flavor, let me say, the CMR Cloud. CMR Cloud is enabled by WebEX, providing the MCU in the cloud. The best way to explain this is going back to the concept of simplification. We want to make this easier, right? So what is CMR Cloud? It's basically your secure office in the cloud or your secure room in the cloud. You can connect any way you like. And here you also see that we are introducing a new concept that is a fixed address. It's you, it's your personal stuff, it's you at sitename.webex.com. Okay? Kind of zooming in, we see more detail. It's, again, user-centric. It's my meeting, my personal room in the cloud. And this allows me to connect in any different way, as you can see here. First of all, this is a capability enabled by WebEX, so I have a possibility to join from a WebEX client, either a desktop client or a mobile client. Again, iOS and Android supported. I can join also from a video device. Okay? Could be Jabber, a soft client, could be a room, could be a personal endpoint, could be any video device. And the important thing can also be a third party. This is a big difference here with respect to CMR Hybrid. This is not Cisco only anymore with cloud. It can be any standard-based infrastructure. Okay? And also, we are also introducing very soon a link. I will share more details later. Okay, so this is really what allows you to bring all together, right? So, back on WebEX for a second. This is very important to mention because CMR Cloud is a feature that has been introduced by WebEX in release 29.8 that has been released in October last year. And this release has been a very important, massive refresh. I've not covered the details here. We had a WebEX session on WebEX in the morning, so I suggest you to check the recordings if you're interested. And if you're not using WebEX in some time, please do it, because you will find something very different and very interesting. Main points here that have been improving a lot. Meeting experience first. So now the meeting experience to the client is much more video focused. Okay, so the video is much better, is larger, you can resize that. You also have the thumbnails enabled by default. We have also been doing some enhancement on the site component, on the portal, so optimizing the processes, introducing brand new productivity tools for Mac, okay, and soon with support for hybrid as well, as mentioned. And another very important thing, we've been introducing a new codec for VoIP. So you will see, and probably you know already, the quality of the VoIP to the WebEX client is fantastic. It's a very good experience now, much better. And of course, back to the main topic, 29.8 has been introducing CMR Cloud. Okay? And going more in detail on the capabilities, you see, starting from the users or the capacity, CMR Cloud can be defined as a single meeting that has basically two components or two capabilities. On one side, I can connect from a video endpoint, okay, as we said, Cisco or third party. And in this case, the capacity is 25. Okay, I can connect with 25 endpoints into my meeting. I can also connect from WebEX, of course. And here the capacity, the technical capacity goes up to 1,000. That means 500 with video enabled. Okay, these are, of course, the technical features. Then it depends on the licensing. So when you buy Meeting Center specifically, you can buy with maximum 25, max 200, and so on and so forth. But the technical limitation is 1,500 with video. So very large capacity overall. In terms of video, we do support up to 720p for both video itself and content sharing in all the 4:3 and 16:9 aspect ratio. We also support the multi-screen through the TIP protocol. And last very important thing, we do support a number of features called meeting controls that allow you to control your meeting. And we'll see the details later on. This is based on end-to-end security, the same concept here. The same applies, by the way, to CMR Hybrid. This is a highly secure enterprise solution. Okay, you know, WebEx is always secured. All the connection, even to your mobile, are always encrypted. And the same situation applies here as well. We have additional flexibility with CMR Cloud, and we'll see that in the next slide. Now, how can you use this? Different ways. Remember, CMR Hybrid is mainly scheduled only, except for the first attempt to cover instant. When it comes to CMR Cloud, we are already covering the 3 models. Okay, starting from the left, you can see the instant meeting, what we now call Meet Now. If you see in the productivity tools, it's now called Meet Now. This is basically very simple. It's just a meeting that starts immediately. Okay, nothing to say there. In the center, you see the usual scheduled way, productivity tools. Okay, so in your calendar application, you can schedule a meeting when you have, this is mainly used when you have a specific audience, meeting happening at a specific time. Okay, you want to be ready and to get ready in advance. So you schedule a meeting. Okay, and you can do that from productivity tools, from the site, directly, any way you like. Okay? We will see the architecture later, but there is no integration with the TMS here. And last, what you see on the right is the new fantastic way we enable to use this stuff. So the personal meeting room. This is really how can I say, you get addicted to the personal room. When you start using, you're always leaving your personal room. And the beauty of this model is that you don't schedule anymore. You can be on Mac, you can be on any device, you don't need to schedule anything. Because the personal room, by definition, is available for you always available for you with a permanent and personal address. Okay, the address can change depending on if it's a URL, depending on the device you're using to connect, but it will be always personal, connected to you, and always available, never changing. This is very powerful. And let's see how it works. Okay, so this is the view on the page or the site that is used to manage your personal meeting room. And you have two addresses, as you can see here, that allow you and anybody to join your room, okay, when you invite them. First is the web URL, HTTPS, that is made in this way. It's sitename.webex.com, so company.webex.com/meet/username. I type this into the browser, I get directed to this page. Okay, from this page I can see this is this guy I want to meet with. I can type my name and enter into the lobby. Okay. Second way to get into a CMR Cloud is through the video address. So if I'm joining from a video device, either Cisco or third party, I just need to dial this address that is working, enabled for both SIP and 323, and is in this form. So username @sitename.webex.com. So you see, always personal, pointing to my room. Okay, and each host will get this capability. Now, again, when I'm joining from a telepresence endpoint, what happens? I will have this experience. I will need to dial the URI. Would be SIP in this case for a Cisco endpoint, but it could be 323 as well. And I will get into an IVR that will basically ask me to type the host PIN. So the personal room is protected by a PIN, okay? And if I have the PIN, meaning I'm the host, I can launch the meeting, I can start the meeting in the room, otherwise I'll be waiting in the lobby. So this is a classical experience. And the same, of course, happens from WebEx. If the host, if the owner of the room is not there yet, I'll be waiting in the lobby. And in order to avoid any abuse of the service, I cannot talk with others, I cannot have video with others until the owner is there. Okay? Then, what I can also do as the owner of my room, I can manage this. It's very easy. You have very few options. Most important is to select and change your PIN, for example. But what we have been also adding recently is the possibility to manage the address itself. This has been basically done based on customer feedback. We had some customer that used to use the full email address as the user ID. Okay? Question?
Yes. Do you think that it would be possible to have
Yes. So. So the question is the level of customization we can do on this page and also the URL. So in terms of customization, all WebEx sites, the WebEx service itself support branding. So the branding will be taken from the company. So when you buy the WebEx service, you put your logo, you put your colors. There are many things you can change. This is a default WebEx capability. When it comes to the address, the domain cannot be changed because that is responding to the webex.com domain. So it's always company, the name of your choice, .webex.com. That's part of the service, how the service is built. So we cannot change that. We do not support that. Question is if we do support any translation in the WebEx Cloud. No, that's not supported. Consider that, just to maybe explain a little bit the scale here, we have more than now, I think, more than 54 million unique users each and every month, so it's massive. We cannot manage all this translation for each and every site. There are really millions. It would be too heavy. You're welcome. What we can do here is, though, to change it so that the user directly can change the URI for the specific case I was mentioning, but also many others, if they want to personalize both the room name and also the URI. And the reason for that is when, and is mandatory in this case, you have a username that is your full email address. This is something we do not recommend, but some customers are doing like that. And so you can understand that the system is automatically building the URI that will be full email address, so Davide at whatever at, okay, so it won't work. With this capability, you will be able to change that. And the other thing you can change is the username and the room name. Now, when you're in meeting from WebEx, you get a beautiful new meeting experience from the new release. Just to mention the clear HD video. And very important here, you can see the list of participants, okay? And unfortunately, it's not shown here, but if you have people connecting from endpoints, you will see all of them here. So you have complete and unified roster list with an icon corresponding to the endpoint, okay? And as the host or the owner of this session, you have the possibility to control and to act on your participants. You can, for example, mute and unmute, as you do normally in WebEx, but in this case, this was also applied to TP endpoints. Okay, so you can mute the TP endpoint that is joining your meeting. You can expel them, either WebEx or TP participants. You can record the session, and the recording will be used in the new standard-based MP4 format. And also, you can lock the meeting. And this is very cool. This is a new feature we've been introducing with the personal meeting room. And basically, what it allows you to do is basically addressing the use case where I don't want anybody to interrupt me. Okay, so the meeting is started, relevant people are already there, I don't want anybody to get into my room. Okay, so what I can do is I lock the room like that with the button. Anybody else that tries to join will get a message saying the room is locked. Goodbye. Now, this experience has been changed and improved recently to accommodate for the lobby. So let me explain this driving through the use case. Use case is I'm present. This is me, but a few years ago, still. I lock the room. I don't want anybody more in the meeting, but I'm still waiting for someone that is always late. My wife, maybe, I don't know. I leave that to you. And in this case, it's Mr. Incredible. It tries to join my room. And what you will see is this new semaphore here that's saying the meeting is happening, but the host has locked the room. Okay, so you cannot enter. And what you can do now, instead of entering the room, you will get this button change into enter into the lobby. Okay? So what happens is that the attendee, Mr. Incredible in this case, will get into the lobby. Okay? And the experience is very similar, but could be, of course, from the PC, from the Mac, or from mobile. Very similar experience, exactly the same. Messages, you're in the lobby, the ROM is locked. Okay? But what we are also doing, of course, is to notify the host. So I'm in the meeting, it's my meeting, I get a notification. This is the first way I can get a notification. You see, this happens when you have one attendee trying to join. Okay, you will see that message in orange in saying, Mr. Incredible is waiting for you. And you can accept or not. If you do, of course, he will get into the meeting. If you have more than one, you will get just a summary that will point you to this window here. You can selectively enable or disable them. And last, if you're sharing, you will get this kind of notification. Okay, so you always get a notification that someone is waiting for you. And you have the possibility to let them in your room. Cool, right? Question? Currently, we're not. The question is if someone else can have permissions as an assistant. Currently, we're not supporting this model, the manager assistant in this case. It's always the owner of the room. But what I can do, I can simply address this. If I have the assistant in the meeting, I can move the host role to the assistant, and he can manage this kind of.
But the host role needs to be
Absolutely, yes. Because with that, I'm passing control for the meeting, so I want to be sure I'm doing that, I'm authorizing that. So, kind of disclaimer, this is fantastic and cool new feature. Today is for WebEx attendees only. We are working on introducing the same capabilities from endpoints. So what happens today, if I lock the room, you're trying to join from an endpoint, from Jabber, even from Link in the future, you will still get a message the meeting is locked. So we are working on that to align the experience also from the endpoint. Okay. Now, last point on the user experience and new features. This is the about the localization we've been recently adding. Now we have been localized in all the WebEx languages that you can see here, the audio and video prompts. So when you get into the meeting from an endpoint, the IVR, the message will be localized with the host language, okay, and the same will apply for the video. So the messages you will see on the video will be localized as well. Okay? So now let's go more in detail on the architecture that is enabling these capabilities and features. And here we have to make a distinction that is quite important. I would like you to remember this point. And this is very relevant when comparing hybrid and cloud. So remember, with hybrid, we were saying you need to have a Cisco TP infrastructure, you add WebEx to that, right? What happens here is that the MCU, the service, is provided in the cloud. So the architecture now is different, and specifically the requirement of the architecture changes. Because what we do recommend, and what is the preferred architecture, is of course based on the Cisco end-to-end solution, work best, and of course fully tested and supported by TAC with Cisco Call Control, specifically with these releases, with Cisco Edge, so the VCS, the Expressway. But the point is that any standard-based infrastructure is unable to call into CMR Cloud. This is really the power of the solution. Okay, but let me stay for a second on this. So when it comes to the recommended solution, this is, of course, Cisco-based, CUCM, usually packaged in the Business Edition 6000, what you see here. VCS control is fully supported, mainly for third-party interop. And one very interesting thing you see here is also Link. So Link is coming into this picture. Future release, I will touch in the details a bit later, but the important point here to understand is that you don't need any on-prem integration here. No, you are maybe used to the VCS Link Gateway, not needed here. You simply have your Link client, in case you have a Link infrastructure, Link deployed. You can simply have your Link client placing a call into CMR in the cloud. Connection will go through the Link server and through the Link edge directly into the cloud. You are basically configuring a federation for Link. Okay, so no on-prem components. Easy and simple, clean. Then, again, when it comes to the architecture, in addition to call control and registration that for which we use CUCM, optionally the VCS control, we also want to have the edge capabilities done by the expressway. Okay, so this, of course, I couldn't say anything different. It's the best edge in the market, and so the recommended solution is based on the expressway and call control. And this is also important to remember. The service by itself is defined as an MCU in the cloud. It's not providing any device registration. So you still need to manage your endpoints, to register them, to manage by your call control, hopefully Cisco, and connect by dialing the CPUI into the cloud. Okay? So when it comes to the more general architecture, that is the supported architecture, this can be run with any third-party call control. As long as it's Stardust-based, it's supposed to work. Okay? Of course, in terms of support, it's not fully supported by us. Our support in this case will be limited to the service itself from the cloud. Support will need to come from the vendor. But for both the two capabilities, call control and the edge, third party are fully supported. Okay? No need to migrate to Cisco infrastructure. We like that. Very happy if you do so, but not required. And the same goes for Link in exactly the same way. Okay? When it comes to the scenarios, we have to distinguish between the protocol. As I mentioned, it's SIP 323, both supported. When it comes to SIP, point to remember here, the key point in the slide is we do require call control. Okay? What we are showing here is the Cisco infrastructure, you see, with unified communication manager, the expressway, the reference architecture. This is what you are referencing, and we are officially supporting. Reason being, not all SIPs are equal, as you know very well. But any standard-based SIP Polycom infrastructure, for example, is expected to work. Okay, and by the way, we have also tested Polycom infrastructure, and we are publishing the specific release we have been testing for your reference. Okay, so what is needed here to work? Very easily. You need to be able to have a third party, if it's not Cisco, that's supported as well, and you only need to have the capability to dial a CPUI. Okay? As long as you can dial a CPUI via DNS to a solution, then you're fine. Okay? The endpoint will connect into the service in the cloud. Let's see now 323. Very similar, but more scenario supported here. In this case, we also support the case of customer C with no call control. In the first two cases, you see typical 323 customer. Typically is, looking at the market, is a Cisco or most probably a former Tandberg customer, VCS-based. This is the customer A. When it comes to customer B, could be any other vendor, 323, with call control and edge capability. And again, customer C with no call control at all. Here we also have the case, it happens typically in the public sectors, some cases, customers that have the endpoint with the public IP address directly on the internet, okay? And this is supported as well. Again, the requirement is very simple. You just need to be able to dial a CPUI, okay? So the requirement is over here. URI dialing, Annex O, okay? Capability to dial the 323 URI. Additional capability required for 323 is to be able, of course, to manage the IVR. So when you are getting to the meeting, you will have to interact with the IVR that's asking you the host pin. Okay? In order to do so, we require the endpoint to support H245 or RFC 2833 in order to manage out-of-band ETMF. Okay? Basically, all the endpoints nowadays support those protocols. If they don't, the workaround is very simple. You cannot start a meeting. You launch the meeting from a WebEX client or any other client, and then you go straight into the meeting without passing into the IVR. So very simple workaround. But just be aware of this. And more in details, these are the codec and the protocol supported for 323. I leave this for your reference, but basically important to remember that both protocols are supported. CMR does interwork in the cloud 323 to SIP, and specifically 235 for encryption, and 239 to BFCP for content sharing. So even 323 does support content sharing bidirectionally. Okay, now, when it comes to security, I was mentioning in the beginning, we have more flexibility here compared to hybrid. The reason is we have less control or less access to the infrastructure. The infrastructure could be very different. We may also have the case that we have no infrastructure, like the case I was mentioning in the beginning. So when it comes to SIP, we have 4 different levels of security we can use, and that CMR will automatically use in the best effort way. Top in the list, more secure, of course, it's TLS with a public root CA for security, and this is the only model that is supported for hybrid, by the way. I always try to link the 2 services together, okay? Other reason why this is different is because we may also have other companies, partners, customers connecting from their own endpoint. Okay, so we don't know which infrastructure you have. We don't know which kind of security they have enforced. Okay, so the system has to be flexible enough to allow for all these 4 security profiles. And this is managed independently on each leg. In terms of design recommendation, what we recommend, and this is covered in detail in the configuration guide, is to create 2 DNS zones on the expressway, one with TLS verify on with higher priority, and one with TLS verify off with a lower priority, so that all your connection will be with priority 1 will be always encrypted. If you want to enforce security, you can do that. You will create just 1 zone with TLS verify on. Now, quick touch on licensing. This is very well connected with the description of the service itself. That's why I think it's important to cover this point as well. So first, remember, I've been defining so far, CMR can be seen as an additional capability on top of WebEX. WebEX is providing the collaboration cloud, the infrastructure, and is already enabling the meeting center service. We're adding something on top of that. And this is shown here in this slide. Basically, on the right, you see the typical WebEx capabilities, okay, enabled by the WebEx cloud. I can connect from my WebEx client. Easy, right? It's PC or mobile, whatever. And then, when I add CMR Cloud to the picture, I unlock this additional capability on the left. Means I can now connect also from my endpoints, or even link, okay? So this is really explains why CMR, from the technical point of view, but also from the licensing point of view, is an additional capability on top of WebEx. And in terms of models, when you consider the license in the way we do license CMR Cloud, we really follow this model. So first of all, remember, CMR Cloud is additional capability to Meeting Center, and as such, goes on top of a Meeting Center subscription. You don't need to buy them at the same time, of course. You can have Meeting Center already and add this capability. And in this respect, you see that the licensing model for CMR Cloud that you see here on the rows, specifically for the named user, can go on top of any Meeting Center offering. So don't worry about which way you were buying Meeting Center 3 years ago. So how the purchasing department was buying WebEx, I don't know, I need to check out. Don't worry. Any way you were buying Meeting Center, you can always add CMR on top of that. And you can do that via the named user. That is the most effective offer for limited deployment. Limited, I mean not company-wide. Here, the only thing to remember is minimum 5 licenses. Okay? Now, when it comes to full deployment, the most effective way to buy CMR Cloud are through these 2 offers here, active users and employee count. I'm not diving in the details of this offering, but basically, in very short terms, employee count, as you can understand, is contract extended to entire company with very, very low prices, while the active users is a bit more smart way to start using the service for everybody, even if you're not sure how many will be actually using it. So with this model, we introduce a very small of the percentage of users that need to own a license. And the service will be available for everybody in the first year, so that you can understand how many users are actually using. And then for the second year onwards, you will be paying exactly what you are using. Okay? And you see, these two models go on top of the active user, meeting center, and the employee count. Okay? So we're trying to do this as simple as possible. Now, related to this, a very important announcement. This is a question. Sorry, any relation between the meet? Mm-hmm. So the question is, okay. So the question is how this licensing model combines with Curve Pro, correct? Okay. So this is currently not available. So Curve Pro includes Meeting Center already. Okay. So this is actually another way you can have Meeting Center, and you can always add CMR on top of that. But CMR Cloud is not part of Curve Pro. It's an additional license you need to add on top of that. So a very important thing we have been announcing yesterday, so very, very recent, very hot. When we are connecting into the cloud, of course, we are creating an outbound connection, right? This applies to both hybrid and cloud. And specifically for cloud, any endpoint that will be connecting will be consuming a license on the edge component. So in the likely case in which the infrastructure is Cisco-based, this will be an Expressway license that is consumed. And what we are offering here is licensing for free on the Expressway. Okay, so more value for you if you have a Cisco end-to-end solution. Specifically, if you have the Expressway, you will not pay the license to connect into CMR Cloud. Okay? This comes in two phases. Phase one, very quick, available today, is done by giving some licenses for free, okay, that you can install on your Expressway or also on the VCS Expressway. And while the long-term solution will be not to charge for any connection that is going to the CMR Cloud. So basically, the concept that you already bought the CMR Cloud services from us, you don't need to pay also the license on the Expressway. And this is a very also strong, very competitive advantage. If you have the Cisco solution, you can optimize the cost of that. More in details, this is applicable to both the Expressway and the VCS C and D. Long term and the short term, we have the details here. So what we are doing is providing 125 licenses for free for each set of CMR Cloud licensing. So this is hopefully explained more with this example here. So for each set of CMR Cloud licenses, from 1 to 250, or actually from 5, you get 125, okay, and so on, depending on the licenses you buy. This is done by a process. You can order that with a $0 order, and this will be managed by the HQQ, the assessment to quality process. And the reason why we're doing that is, I've been covering that already, we want to simplify, and we want to give you more value for the Cisco end-to-end solution. Okay. Now, let me also briefly touch this. The HQQ is the assessment to quality process. It's basically a questionnaire. It's a very easy questionnaire that is available online. It is required for any CMR Cloud deal. And this is needed in order to make sure all the requirements are met. There are basically two kinds of requirements typically. So one in WebEX, as we've been sharing, CMR Cloud is supported since 29.8. So we just need to make sure your site is already running the latest release. Okay? And when it comes to the TP infrastructure, your video infrastructure, we need to make sure you can dial, and you can meet the requirements that have been seen previously. So you can dial a CPUI with the necessary solution, and you also have the possibility to open to UDP through your firewall. With that, we are making sure that deployment will work. Okay, and as stated, we are using the same tool to simplify the process also for the additional Expressway licenses for free. By the way, this is very important. This applies also to existing customers. So if you've been buying CMR Cloud last week or last month, you will also get the free RMS licenses. It's for all customers. Now, when it comes to the need to check the requirements, this could be maybe a bit difficult in some cases. The partner maybe is not always involved. And so to make it easier here for customers to check this requirement, but also for partners, we are introducing the CMR configuration tool. This is very cool. It's a fantastic tool that is available as a Chrome extension in the browser, and basically allows you to go through all the process for checking the requirement first, but also deploying CMR Cloud. I can show you a couple of screenshots here. First step, of course, is to check the prerequisites. This applies to CMR Cloud, but will apply very soon also for CMR Hybrid in a couple of months. And first, this will list the requirements. So no need to go through all the deployment guide. That is, if you want all the details, you always look into that document. But you can now go through this tool and have all the necessary information. So first of all, define what target solution you are looking at, cloud versus hybrid in a couple of months, and then all the different questions. Do you have an edge component? Is the Expressway based? And if you have the Expressway, we will also go in the details of the configuration. So the system will tell you, you need to create a new DNS zone. This is how you can do that. And this will guide you to the configuration. Very powerful, I think. The other thing that we are doing with the tool, and is a preliminary step, is also checking the capabilities on the WebEX side. So we will simply type the host password on the WebEX site, and the tool will automatically check the requirements on the WebEX site automatically for you. This is available for demo in the Word solution, by the way. So if you want to have a look, it will be shown there. And last point on CMR Cloud, let me touch on the link interop that we are adding soon. Specifically, we are adding this capability to allow a link client to join into a CMR Cloud session starting from the end of Q1, meaning end of March, with the following capabilities: audio, video, and receiving content. Okay? Receiving content means it will be in one direction. I can share content from WebEX, I can share content from a TP endpoint, from a video endpoint, and the link client will receive that as a compatible video, but will not be able to share directly from link. Okay? This is the phase one we are introducing. What is supported from the technical point of view, these are the protocols. So it's 263 and 264 for video. And this is also reflected in the supported platform that you will see in a slide. Content, again, is view only. CMR Cloud is encoding the content in the main video and will send a composite to the link client. And in terms of features, the link client will not see the list of participants. Okay? Basically, to give you the idea, the link client will behave just a video endpoint, okay? Joining to the session. Now, in terms of platform supported, the good news is that we are able to support both Link on-prem, and specifically 2010 and 2013, and also Link Online, Office 365. They supported since March. 2007, not supported. And these are the clients. Okay, so all the clients supported by 2010 and 2013. Of course, on 2013, thanks to SVC, support is more broad in terms of platforms. So it's PC, but also mobility, Link Mobile, iOS, and Android. And no Mac support. That's because of the RTV video that is not supported by CMR Cloud. Okay, so Microsoft is not supporting any neither 263 or 264 on the Mac client. Okay, so one thing that I have to mention. This first release will be meant as a beta, so be aware of that. There are some caveats, and therefore our recommendation is not to go and deploy this in production in the end of March, but test and see what is the user experience, if you like it. If it's meeting your requirement, then consider that. Okay, so for now we are releasing this as a beta. Important point to remember. Reason for that is a number of caveats and therefore the experience that is not ideal. Okay, and now we see the details. In terms of support, this is treated like a third-party endpoint, of course. So if you have any issue with the service, the Cisco TAC will troubleshoot everything related to the service, and then we stop at the link edge component, right? Now, what are these caveats I was mentioning? Number one, link requires a specific URI in order to dial a CMR Cloud session, and this is coming from the way Link is managing certificates or is expecting the certificate to be used. And by the way, and Link, specifically 365, is not supporting any open interop. Okay, so in all these cases, that applies to CMR Cloud as well to many other vendors, the system, the service is always pretending to be as another office. And so to federate between different Link deployments, could be cloud or on-prem. Okay? In this specific case, the certificate that is expected from Link has to contain the certificate associated to the domain name. So, and therefore, the need to have a common domain for the Link clients. Otherwise, you know, the domain in WebEx changes, as we were touching before. So it's company.webex.com. That would mean one different certificate for each and every customer, right? So in order to address this issue, we decided to define a single common domain for all Link clients. And this portion here will allow the CMR Cloud to identify site name first, so the customer, and then the meeting or the personal ID. Okay? So that means if you're using the instruction you get from the confirmation email directly, this won't work if you dial that with Link. You need to be aware that the URI for Link is different. Okay, so this is something that we will address, but for now it's not providing the best possible user experience. Second thing, the Link client cannot escalate from audio to video. So when we get into the IVR, asking the host pin to join, the Link client will negotiate an audio connection. And then when getting into the meeting, we'll have to renegotiate video, okay, to actually get into the meeting. This is not happening. So if you then, what happens in reality on the Link client, we can show that. If you click on the video button here, then we'll not be able to escalate to the video communication. We'll remain connected in audio only. Workaround here is that if the meeting is already started, you don't have this issue. So if you start the meeting from WebEx, from a TP endpoint of any other client, the meeting will be open. The Link client will connect immediately into the bridge without interacting with the IVR. So that way will work. We'll immediately negotiate the video, audio and video, and in that way we'll be fine. Limitation here is you cannot open the meeting with the Link client, okay? Because it's not able to interact with the IVR and then escalate to video. So something to keep in mind. And the last gap here is that the Link client, as I was mentioning in the beginning, is not able to share content. It will receive content being shared in the CMR session, okay, either shared by a WebEx client or a video client, a TP client, whatever. And this will be seen as a composite, okay, but will not be able to share. We are addressing this in the next release that is currently planned for the summertime, around Q2, calendar year 15. And we have been sharing more details on this, on the plans, and the support of the interoperability in this session over here. So if you're interested, you can check out the recording. You will see this topic covered in detail. Any question on CMR Cloud? So hopefully we've been covering all the information related to the two services. And now, as I was anticipating in closing, we are comparing the two solutions. So first of all, it's useful to understand which solution is the best fit for my specific needs. Okay, there are some differences between the two that are summarized here, and therefore we have the best situation where you can apply CMR Hybrid, or the best situation or scenarios when you apply CMR Cloud. First of all, remember CMR Cloud is meant to be an extension to your Cisco TP infrastructure. So that means that can leverage the on-prem infrastructure you already have. You can leverage the high-quality Full HD capabilities. So mainly if you have immersive room, the best fit could be to integrate that with WebEX using the local bridges. 1080p, therefore, for video and screen sharing. While on the other side, the CMR Cloud is really meant to break the silos, as we have seen. You can have any video conferencing solution, standard-based. You can also have link, okay, and they can all converge and use the same meeting in the cloud. So this is really the power of CMR Cloud. Of course, in terms of CapEx versus OpEx, you see a difference here. And the fact that if you don't really know how much you'll be using, why not using service in the cloud? It's by definition much more elastic. You can pay, you need more, you can pay more. Okay? In terms of differences are the main points I will leave for your reference, but these are all the points we've been covering so far. First of all, the meeting paradigms. Hybrid is today scheduled, with the exception of the first attempt to cover the instant. Today is mainly scheduled only, while we have seen the power of the personal use case for cloud. On scheduling, here we do leverage the on-prem architecture, so we can support one button to push, while here we don't have one button to push. We have to dial the URI, right? And when it comes to the meeting experience, we have a roster list that is partially complete with hybrid, not showing the endpoints, the details of the endpoints connected, while with cloud we have all the details and we can act on them. Okay, unified control over the meeting. And then there is also a difference in terms of bandwidth. Of course, with hybrid, we are using the local bridge for serving the TP users, and then one connection to the cloud, right? With cloud, you will have one stream per endpoint. So another point to remember when sizing and designing the solution. But this doesn't mean that you have to choose one or the other. We can also see when the choose solution can coexist. And starting from the technical requirements, actually, we can support both the solution also on the same site and also on the same host account. So me, Davide at cisco.webex.com, I can have the two features enabled at the same time. I can also have the two features enabled for the same users. So, having said that, let's see a couple of examples. Here, there is not a right solution or a wrong solution. The first is best in terms of recommendation, and is based on the approach of selecting users. So I have two disjointed group of users, group A enabled with hybrid, and group B enabled with cloud. Okay? Question?
You mentioned licensing for the cloud since Expressway.
Yes.
Same for hybrid and cloud, or only for the cloud?
So the question is about the free licensing for on the Expressway. That's for the cloud only. In this case, segmenting the users, you can basically fulfill this objective. So you can maybe define a smaller group of users that can leverage the immersive room, high quality. You want to use the high quality. You can use or keep using the concierge, for example, optionally. You can also easily manage TP-only meetings. So you need to run an internal-only meeting, TP-only. You can do that very easily with the productivity tools. While all the others, or part of the others in group B, can take advantage of the ease of use of the personal use. Okay? This is a combination that works. The second one here, I've been mentioning because it's something that is being asked very frequently, but something we do not really recommend. So consider that when you are designing your solution. In these cases, all users get both hybrid and cloud. This can address some requirements, but the things to pay attention here are basically one. First of all, the outcome of the scheduling will depend on the actual scheduling tool you will use, because if you have cloud-enabled productivity tools, will schedule in the cloud. So if you then schedule via TMS, you could have a different experience. So unless you want to control exactly how the users will be scheduling, you could have different outcomes. And second, this is not really future-proof, because, as I was saying, we are also targeting to address the personal use case with CMR hybrid as well. So this will come, so it's better, in our recommendation, better not to mix the two services on the same users. You can segment in set users A and user B, and that will be perfectly fine. Okay? So in summary, in closing, I think that the most important point I wanted to mention here is that, going back to the topic in my opening, we have a way to address the challenges and converging into single solution. CMR actually is providing one convergent conferencing solution. It could be either hybrid or cloud based on your needs and on the user experience. And indeed, it's in the end, it's all about the users, as we were discussing in the beginning. So the right user experience that we want to target will dictate what is the best solution for you. Also based on your existing investments or your preference for going in the cloud or connecting more with the on-prem infrastructure. With that, I leave you with some actions if you want to know more on this. First of all, I and the team will be at the Water Solution in the afternoon, so we have the opportunity to show CMR live at Cisco Live, of course. Also, the configuration tool is available, so I really suggest you to get there and have a look at the collaboration booth in the Water Solution. You also find some more information here on the cisco.com site, go/CMR. And then I really ask you to fill the survey. I really hope this session was helpful, but I have no way to know that unless you do the survey, so please do that. That will help me improving. Thanks a lot.